I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. So we continue with 1 Nephi, this will be chapter 18. The ship is finished. The births of Jacob and Joseph are mentioned. The company embarks for the promised land. The sons of Ishmael and their wives join in revelry and rebellion. Nephi is bound and the ship is driven back by a terrible tempest. Nephi is freed, and by his prayer the storms cease. They arrive in the promised land. And it came to pass that they did worship the Lord, and did go forth with me, and we did work timbers of curious workmanship. And the Lord did shew me from time to time after what manner I should work the timbers of the ship. Now I, Nephi, did not work the timbers after the manner which was learned by men, neither did I build the ship after the manner of men. But I did build it after the manner which the Lord had shown unto me, wherefore it was not after the manner of men. And I, Nephi, did go into the mount oft, and I did pray oft unto the Lord, wherefore the Lord showed unto me great things. And it came to pass that after I had finished the ship, according to the word of the Lord, my brethren beheld that it was good, and that the workmanship thereof was exceedingly fine. Wherefore they did humble themselves again before the Lord. And it came to pass that the voice of the Lord came unto my father, that we should arise and go down into the ship. And it came to pass that on the morrow, after we had prepared all things, much fruit and meat from the wilderness, and honey in abundance, and provisions according to that which the Lord had commanded us, we did go down into the ship, with all our loading, and our seeds, and whatsoever thing we had brought with us, every one according to his age. Wherefore we did all go down into the ship with our wives and our children. And now my father had begat 2 sons in the wilderness. The elder was called Jacob, and the younger Joseph. And it came to pass, after we had all gone down into the ship, and had taken with us our provisions and things which had been commanded us, we did put forth into the sea, and were driven forth before the wind towards the promised land. And after we had been driven forth before the wind for the space of many days, behold, my brethren and the sons of Ishmael, and also their wives, began to make themselves merry, insomuch that they began to dance and to sing and to speak with much rudeness. Yea, even that they did forget by what power they had been brought thither. Yea, they were lifted up unto exceeding rudeness. And I, Nephi, began to fear exceedingly, lest the Lord should be angry with us and smite us because of our iniquity, that we should be swallowed up in the depths of the sea. Wherefore I, Nephi, began to speak to them with much soberness. But behold, they were angry with me, saying, We will not that our younger brother should be a ruler over us. And it came to pass that Laman and Lemuel did take me and bind me with cords, and they did treat me with much harshness. Nevertheless, the Lord did suffer it, that he might show forth his power unto the fulfilling of his word which he had spoken concerning the wicked. And it came to pass that after they had bound me insomuch that I could not move, the compass which had been prepared of the Lord did cease to work. Wherefore they knew not whither they should steer the ship, insomuch that there arose a great storm, yea, a great and terrible tempest. And we were driven back upon the waters for the space of 3 days. And they began to be frightened exceedingly, lest they should be drowned in the sea. Nevertheless they did not loose me. And on the 4th day, which we had been driven back, the tempest began to be exceedingly sore. And it came to pass that we were about to be swallowed up in the depths of the sea. And after we had been driven back upon the waters for the space of 4 days, my brethren began to see that the judgments of God were upon them, and that they must perish, save that they should repent of their iniquities. Wherefore they came unto me, and loosed the bands which were upon my wrists, and behold, they had swollen exceedingly. And also mine ankles were much swollen, and great was the soreness thereof. Nevertheless I did look unto my God, and did praise him all the day long, and I did not murmur against the Lord because of mine afflictions. Now my father Lehi had said many things unto them, and also unto the sons of Ishmael. But behold, they did breathe out much threatenings against any one that should speak for me. And my parents, being stricken in years, and having suffered much grief because of their children, they were brought down, yea, even upon their sick beds. Because of their grief and much sorrow and the iniquity of my brethren, they were brought near even to be carried out of this time to meet their God. Yea, their gray hairs were about to be brought down to lie low in the dust. Yea, even they were near to be cast with sorrow into a watery grave. And Jacob and Joseph also, being young, having need of much nourishment, were grieved because of the afflictions of their mother. And also my wife with her tears and prayers, and also my children did not soften the hearts of my brethren, that they would loose me. And there was nothing save it were the power of God, which threatened them with destruction, could soften their hearts. Wherefore, when they saw that they were about to be swallowed up in the depths of the sea, they repented of the thing which they had done, insomuch that they loosed me. And it came to pass, after they had loosed me, behold, I took the compass, and it did work whither I desired it. And it came to pass that I prayed unto the Lord, and after I had prayed, the winds did cease, and the storm did cease, and there was a great calm. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, did guide the ship, that we sailed again toward the promised land. And it came to pass that after we had sailed for the space of many days, we did arrive at the promised land, and we went forth upon the land, and did pitch our tents, and we did call it the promised land. And it came to pass that we did begin to till the earth, and we began to plant seeds. Yea, we did put all our seeds into the earth, which we had brought from the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that they did grow exceedingly, wherefore we were blessed in abundance. And it came to pass that we did find upon the land of promise, as we journeyed in the wilderness, that there were beasts in the forests of every kind, both the cow and the ox, and the ass and the horse, and the goat and the wild goat, and all manner of wild animals which were for the use of men. And we did find all manner of ore, both of gold and of silver and of copper. Let's just talk about a couple of things here. First of all, let's look at the timeline. They build the ship when they start building it in the 8th year. Now, this is the 8th year of Zedekiah. Jerusalem will be besieged in the 9th year. About the time they get to the promised land is when Jerusalem begins to be under siege, and that siege lasts for 3 years. But all the time that they've been in the wilderness, Jerusalem is still standing. Now we have the mention of Jacob and Joseph. These are 2 more sons born to Lehi and Sariah. More evidence that Lehi and Sariah were not that old. Maybe in their early 50s. Now this has been 8 years. See, I estimate that Lehi was between 45 and 50 when they left Jerusalem, which means that he is now around 55, maybe a little older. Now, from what we've seen, I mean, the kings of Jerusalem have not been living much more than into their 50s or 60s. So this is being well stricken in years. And with all the trials that they're going through, it's understandable that Lehi and Sariah would be affected physically, that they would be ill. But we also have to understand, it says Nephi's children were pleading with Laman and Lemuel. So he had children that were old enough to talk. In other words, Nephi's children, and probably the children of Laman, Lemuel, Sam, Zoram, all the rest of them, are the same age as Jacob and Joseph. Now, they were likely not born until after the incident of the breaking of the bow, which means that the oldest of these children would be maybe 6 years old. So later on, Jacob and Joseph, they are going to marry their nieces, technically. That is our timeline. That is how things are working out. Now, in addition to this, let us consider how many people were actually on the ship when they sailed to the promised land. Because we have 8 couples. There's Lehi and Sariah, the 2 sons of Ishmael, Zoram, and the 4 sons of Lehi. 8 couples came out of Jerusalem. They're all having children though, and the 2 sons of Ishmael already had children before they left Jerusalem, because they brought their families with them. Now, Lehi and Sariah have 2 children in the wilderness. Now they're older, but let's say that each couple has 2 children in the wilderness. That is 16 being added to the 16, making 32 with the addition of the sons of Ishmael's earlier children. So I estimate between 35 and 40 people were on the ship sailing to the promised land. Now they get to the promised land probably a year to a year and a half after they start building the ship. Probably takes them several months to build the ship, and probably takes them several months to cross the water. So they start building the ship in the 8th year. They arrive in the promised land sometime in the 9th year. So as I said, by the time they're actually in the promised land, Jerusalem is now under siege. Now I do want to point out one last thing. Nephi is told to go up into the mountain, and then he is commanded to build a ship so that they can cross the water. Why Nephi? I think primarily because Lehi was too old for the work. And so Nephi was the one that needed to do the work of building the ship. But as soon as the ship is built, God then goes to Lehi and says, okay, Lehi, time to gather up everybody and get them into the ship. Remember, Lehi is still the patriarch. He is still the leader of the group. And so he is the presiding authority. As I said, the only reason that God goes to Nephi, in my opinion, I don't think he went to Nephi because Nephi is replacing Lehi. No, he went to Nephi because Nephi is young and strong. He can make the ship. Lehi is too old to do the work. But God still recognizes Lehi's position in the family. I leave that here. We're going to be turning to Jeremiah next, so we will see you there.